Hey, Rick Sayes here. Welcome to Season 3 of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, recorded at the Surf City Studios in Costa Mesa, California. I have another great season of interviews with retailers, brand managers, athletes, executives, and others in the outdoor biz to share their stories, tips, advice, productivity tricks and hacks, and ideas you can use to take your career business to the next level. Today's podcast is brought to you by Creative Live. Start learning for free today with their amazing selection of on-air classes. With over 1,500 curated classes in photography and video, money and life, craft and maker, art and design, and music and audio, there is something for everyone. I've watched many of their on-air broadcasts for free, or buy a class and own the content for life. Go to theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/creativelive and start building creative skills from the world's top experts today. Plenty of good stuff in this wide-ranging conversation with Lila Leatherman from Alpenglow Collective. Lila tells us about how Alpenglow Collective came to life, all the great things they do for the women's, trans, and gender non-conforming climbing communities, and much, much more. Enjoy. Hey, Lila, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, good to have you on. So, everything going well in your world this morning so far?
It's going pretty well. I just moved into a new house, so I'm settling in, making my coffee, figuring out what my routine looks like in this new place.
Nice, awesome. How long have you been there?
Just a couple days, less than a week now. So I've been in Salt Lake for less than a month now, and this house for just since this past weekend.
Yeah, cool. Good for you. Well, congratulations on that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm super excited.
I'll bet. It's always fun. The unpacking's, better than the packing, right?
Well, sometimes.
So, tell us about your first exposure to the outdoors. How'd you get excited about the outdoors?
Yeah, so I had always kind of done nature stuff with my family, but I was the kid who resented being dragged along to the national parks. My folks would just drive us around. I grew up in Kentucky, so every park within driving distance I think we probably hit. But I wasn't super into it then. But it wasn't until I moved. So I'm in Salt Lake City now. I moved here first in 2014. I had a job at the Bureau of Land Management. And it was really just like, I hadn't been steeped in outdoor culture like this before. I didn't have a tent even. And so I moved to Salt Lake. I got this access. I got a pro deal through my job, and I got the gear, and I had friends who were just like super outdoorsy. And so that was when I first started like really getting outside. I learned how to rock climb, which is super important to me now. And now it feels really full circle to be back in Salt Lake 4 years later.
Yeah. So was the BLM your first outdoor job or outdoor related job?
My other day job is I'm in academia. I'm a graduate student, and I've done field work for that. Done like plant community ecology surveys, like stuff like that. And BLM got me outside a little bit.
And where are you going to school?
I'm getting a degree right now from Oregon State University.
Oh, cool.
So I'm working on a PhD in the College of Forestry, and I'm using satellite images to look at how plants are responding to climate change.
Wow.
And so now I'm in Salt Lake sitting at the University of Utah to finish that.
That's pretty interesting. That's got to be some pretty dramatic things you're looking at, huh?
Yeah, it's, you read the papers and they come out and it's like, okay, everything is flowering earlier, more or less.
Right.
Like we have 100 years of data from museum specimens, and everything's changing. My first reaction is always like, wow, cool, what an interesting result. And it's like, not so good.
Right. Yeah, right. That's funny. Yeah, I do a bunch of photography stuff, and we're doing a photography workshop up in Bishop for the fall colors this year. And when I schedule the dates, I always look back at my images to find out when the best ones were captured. And I think this year I might be a little late, but we'll see. You never know. It's phenomenal. So let's start out. Tell our listeners a little bit about Alpenglow Collective. Your website says you're an organization for women's, trans, and gender non-conforming climbing communities. What does that mean?
So we are a way for folks whose gender experience means that they don't really see themselves represented in the outdoors. We're a way for those folks to find climbing partners. So we've changed the language a little bit for how we describe our community because we want to find the language that's most inclusive to everybody who has that experience. So now we've settled on women and underrepresented genders, which means all women. So women who are cisgender, which means women who were assigned female when they were born, as well as trans women, which is women who were assigned male when they were born, as well as folks who might not fit into the gender binary so well. So people who are non-binary, people who are gender nonconforming, people who are genderqueer, two-spirit, anything that is outside of that norm.
Gotcha. And what was the inspiration behind starting Alpenglow? You obviously, you said rock climbing is super important to you. I'm sure that was part of it.
Yeah, and so I was the third addition to the team. It was founded initially by two women who are in Portland. So this is Emily Ministo and Elise Cogburn, are two other members of our executive team. And they wanted a way to connect women with rock climbing partners. And since we realized who else could benefit from this site, from this font. And for me, I'm non-binary. I use they, them pronouns. And it was super exciting to me to find a group that was excited about doing this work. And so we've really made the trans inclusion and the broader gender equity a huge part of our mission. Gotcha. Because climbing has been just a super radical way to meet people. And so finding a space where you can find other folks who have a shared experience navigating the outdoors in order to participate in that, and also folks who are supportive of your identity. You have this vetting process where if people find Alpenglow, for queer and trans folks especially, it's awesome to have built-in allies among folks who might not be queer or trans, but are really supportive and want to find ways to help.
Right. And how are you guys different from other women's groups like this, non-conforming genders?
So uniquely, there are some, there's a lot of women's climbing organizations. So there are Facebook groups, there's like Girls Who Climb, there are things like Chicks with Picks, are some other organizations. But and there are also queer outdoors organizations. There are like local queer climbing groups. There are nationwide like queer groups that get folks outside. But we unite women who are straight and cisgender with these queer and trans communities as well. So we're really excited about promoting allyship and helping people support these communities that they might not be a part of, because that gives the folks who are a little bit more marginalized, who have identities that are less represented, this connection to these people who want to help them.
And how does it work? What do you guys do? I poked around your website a little bit, so there's a place on the website to go find partners. Do you reach out? I didn't go on any of your socials, so I didn't do that much research, but tell us a little bit about how it works.
So the basic idea is we have a website where you can make what amounts to a climbing resume. You can put in things you want to learn or teach to other people. So say that you're like super competent single pitch sport leader, but you want to learn more about how to climb trad. That describes me pretty well. So I might be like, hey, like I can teach you how to lead sport outside, but like I would love to like learn how to place like the new set of tri-cams that I just bought. That's a traditional climbing gear. We're stoked about helping people find partners, but also develop mentorship. So that's why we have that space for talking about what you want to teach. And the way it works on the website, you just send people a message, and we're redesigning the website right now. We also have a Facebook group that's a similar posting forum.
And is which is more active, the website or Facebook? It seems like social might be more active to reach out and find partners, huh? No?
The Facebook I think is the most active right now because we are in this process of the redesign. Instagram is where you will get the most up to date info on all of our activities. It's amazing to me how deeply steeped the outdoor community is in Instagram, and Emily handles most of our social media, so she is just amazingly on top of that. I'm super grateful for that.
And how long have you guys been around? Sorry.
So it'll be 2 years in January.
Okay.
And I just had my year anniversary of working with Alpenglow.
Congratulations. What do you like most about it?
It's super exciting to share our mission with people. So we'll go out and I'll table at events and people will be like, oh, wow, like, that's awesome. Like, you all are doing rad work. Or it's like, oh, yeah, like, I've heard of you. Like keep it up. Or there might be, like, queer trans folks who are like, wow, like, finally, like, this is what I've been looking for. So I love that, like, one-on-one interaction. And especially because we are one of the few groups that's explicitly talking about trans inclusion and about gender beyond the binary in rock climbing and in the outdoor industry. I think there's a huge potential for change and for us to keep reaching out to industry leaders and to make climbing in the outdoors not just like trans inclusive, but trans affirming as well.
And what can people do to support women and underrepresented genders in the outdoors? Do you guys go to the show? Do you guys have a booth at the show?
We don't have a booth. We were there. We were just walking around.
Gotcha. Yeah, makes sense.
Having meetings.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah, there were just two of us, and it was an amazing time. It was my first time at a retailer, and we had a ball.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, it's pretty fun. Yeah. So what can people do to support?
So I think the first thing that people can do is just listen to women and underrepresented genders when we say that we need a space like this. So I've seen a lot of backlash to women-specific groups where people are like, we don't need that. Like, I'll climb with anybody. Like, I don't see what the big deal is. But
did they say
these organizations,
that? Right.
Exactly. But these organizations exist because, like, we've developed this need, and, like, sometimes it's nice to, like, have a mentor who looks like you or who you know supports and affirms your identity. So I think listen is number one, and also, like, listen when people share their stories. There are, like, some opportunities, like diversity panels at Outdoor Retailer or at other events where people are volunteering, like, their time and energy to share their stories. I was on a diversity panel at the Smith Rock Kragan Classic, a climbing festival series put on by the American Alpine Club. And that's a great way for you to gather more information, and not just about women and underrepresented genders, but people of color and differently abled people as well.
Right.
To take those opportunities to listen. And I think the second thing is to ask questions of people. So, for example, like, I love when people ask me my pronouns because it shows that they're thinking and they're caring about it. And so that's something you can do, but also be sure to do it respectfully. So you don't want to, like, ask questions that are, like, invasive or, like, about people's bodies that you wouldn't ask of somebody of another identity group. And you also have to be careful. You don't know how many times that person might have been asked that same question that day or that week. So it's important to, like, try to give yourself opportunities to learn, but also not take it personally if somebody doesn't have the time or energy to answer you in the moment, because marginalized folks, so folks with navigate the world with, like, a different set of identities who aren't straight white men, basically, have do a lot of work to educate others about their experiences. So just remembering that when you're interacting with those folks. And the last thing I would say is, especially for local organizations, you can just ask how you can help and donate your time, your energy, your resources. Like, if you are if you work at a gym and there's a local climbing group, like, you can donate day passes to them so they can get more new people climbing. If you, like, are manage, like, the marketing department, you can help get backpacks to, like, your local outdoors group or something like that. So whatever. And if you just, like, are another normal human in the outdoors, you can volunteer your time. Like, maybe they need folks to belay at a climbing meetup. Maybe they want the sky is the limit. They will have things for you to do. I guarantee it.
Like most groups, they just need help.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and what are some of the other people and organizations who do work similar to Alpenglow? Are you guys one of a kind, or is there a bunch of groups like that?
So, like I mentioned, there are a lot of groups that get women outside. So, Flash Foxy is a women's climbing festival, and I'm really excited about the group Brown Girls Climb as well. I've met some other leaders over the summer, so they're focused on getting women of color outside. And Unlikely Hikers is more broadly focused on diversity in the outdoors, but she leads group hikes and says that anybody who considers themselves an unlikely hiker is one. And I'll also give shout outs to Out There Adventures, which takes queer youth on backpacking and rafting trips. And they're amazing. They're out of Seattle. And the Venture Out Project organizes queer and trans, like, group day hikes and backpacking trips for adults.
Gotcha. And who are some of the mentors that have helped you guys along the way get this thing up and running? Or just helped you along the way personally, maybe?
Yeah, I think for me, I'm really lucky to have a close friend who also is new in the outdoor industry, and she's a phenomenal communicator. So she's navigating this world, and has kind of like 6 months ahead of me. So I get the advice like after she's learned it.
Oh, that's a great mentor to have. Yeah, it's fresh. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's been super helpful. But yeah, I think being so new, it's been interesting to navigate, because the outdoor industry is so based on connections, and I'm still in the process of building those connections. So if you want to mentor me, people out there,
reach out.
You can find my email in the show link. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll link to that definitely. Yeah. What was I going to ask about the show? Draw a blank on it. Anyway, I'll come back to it. So tell us about any other nonprofits you guys work with.
So
probably a lot. I would imagine all the traditional, American Alpine Club, all those guys.
Yeah, and so we're still building those formal partnerships. And I initially read this question as because we are a not-for-profit organization, and working with local climbers festivals, and but yeah, sorry, I don't have a good answer to this question.
That's okay. No, that's right. If you think of anything, you can send me the notes, and I'll put a link to in the show notes. Go ahead. Sorry, you were going to say something?
Oh, no, I was just thinking because we're in the process of building those connections now, and we're at the place where it's okay, what are we doing next, and how are we best using our time?
Right.
So
Are you guys gonna have a table at OR there where they have all the group tables there? We used to call it nonprofit row. I don't know if they have but they have a space for it now specifically.
Yeah, I think I found so much utility in walking around.
Yeah.
That I think I will probably just plan on doing that. We haven't confirmed that we're going to the winter market. Yet. We're not going to one in November. Yeah. So, but definitely going to plan on being at summer next year.
Right.
But yeah, winter is a maybe.
Cool. And what other outdoor activities do you participate in?
So other than climbing, I'm super stoked on trail running. I describe myself as a 5:14 belayer, as much as I'm a record-setting marathon runner, But I'm really excited to be back on the Wasatch Front, because there's just so much here,
Right.
So trail running and hiking are the big ones.
Cool, that's good. And do you have any advice or suggestions for someone wanting to either get into the outdoor biz or maybe grow their career? You're still relatively new, but you might have some fresh advice for folks.
Yeah, and somebody asked me this question when I was tabling at this climbing festival. He wanted to start a similar diversity-oriented group, and my first advice to him was identify people who can help you, because it's a lot of hard work, especially doing something that's nonprofit-oriented. It's that hard work, and you're going to need folks who have your back and have resources and can offer advice.
Right.
And so I was super lucky to come into an organization that already had multiple people, and so we all support each other. But if you're alone, you're going to need help. But the second piece of it, though, I think is just do it and start. And I am super new to nonprofit work with this organization, and I'm just very much learning as I go. And I think that's the story for a lot of folks who are doing work like this, for a lot of the groups.
Yeah, well, that's how the industry got started. We just made stuff up along the way, and here we are, 30, 40 years later, we got a big old business. It's how'd that happen?
Yeah, wait a second.
Yeah, right.
To play outside with my friends.
Look what we did. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have any daily routines you use to keep your sanity? Like meditate, or obviously you get a lot of exercise?
Yeah, I get a lot of exercise. I'm I think tripling my bike commute in length in my new place. So I did the 10 miles round trip yesterday for the first time. So we'll see if that sticks, or how much public transit I throw into the mix.
Right.
But yeah, a lot of exercise. Try to get to the gym. Try to get my cardio in as well.
How many days a week do you get to the gym? The climbing gym?
2 or 3. I try to climb 2 or 3 days a week. So whether that's inside or outside. I'm trying to make the most of the waning daylight and cooler temps that we have right now.
Yeah, pretty soon it's going to be over. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you have any favorite books that you have read or books that you give as gifts very often?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There was one book I gave for Christmas, I think, to 2 separate people this past year. It's called The Argonauts by Maggie Nelson. And it's a memoir that's really just about this woman. She is giving birth to a child as her partner is having top surgery. So her partner is somewhere on the gender nonconforming spectrum and is having their breasts removed. Mm-hmm. And so these 2 intense body things are happening at the same time. And It's a lot about gender and relationships and families and partnership. And it's super beautifully written. And it's really like steeped in, I come from an academic background, so I'm excited that it's really steeped in like queer theory and critical theory, but she also quotes these like really academic people in the same paragraph as she quotes Mary Lambert, who sings Same Love. So yeah, I love it. I think it's just kind of changed my life.
We'll definitely put a link to that one in the show notes. That's good.
Awesome.
And what about a favorite piece of outdoor gear under $100?
Mm-hmm. My Petzl Gree is an assistive braking device. Yeah, it's definitely worth it. It's only narrowly under $100, but
that's close. As long as it's close.
Especially for top belaying on a multi-fish. It's just
all right, cool. We'll put
irreplaceable, I think.
Yeah, put a link to one of those too. As we wrap up, is there anything you'd like to say to our listeners or ask of our listeners?
Yeah, I think I just want to emphasize that gender is a lot more complicated than we're all taught that it is when we're growing up. And if you can support the people in your life who are experiencing that, if you're somebody who is like outside the gender binary or is on this gender journey, then like that's rad. And I'm so stoked for you. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we all are out here. And I think, the most important thing for me as a non-binary trans person is that like you accept that this is like both the most important thing about me and also the least important thing about me. Like I'm just another person out here. Right. I just use different pronouns. So yeah,
we're all on this one planet together.
Mm-hmm.
We got to make it work.
Yeah.
Good. And where can people find you if they want to reach out? Email is the best place, or Twitter? What's the?
Mm-hmm. Email and Instagram are both where I'm most active. So my email is Lila, Lila, at alpenglowcollective.co.
Okay.
And my Instagram is at LLeather1, number 1.
LLeather1. Okay, we'll link to all those in the show notes.
And then, and also I'm almost forgetting my organization's Instagram. So
oh, right.
Yes, we are at alpenglowcollective.co. Is the Alpenglow Collective Instagram.
Cool. We'll link to that too. Awesome. Well, it's been great chatting with you. I appreciate the time.
Likewise. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, look forward to meeting you at OR.
Yeah, same.
All right, thanks. Take it easy. Have a good day.
Thanks, you too.
Bye-bye. All right, I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Lila Leatherman and learned all about Alpenglow Collective. You can follow up with Lila at alpenglowcollective.co. Lila is spelled Lila, and you can follow them on Instagram at alpenglowcollective.co. You'll find links to everything we discussed in the show notes at theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/episode 136. Be sure to hit your favorite podcast app and subscribe today. Thanks for listening. I'd also like to take a minute and thank the Outdoor Biz podcast supporters on Patreon, Scott Oshman and Will Dawson. Thank you for your generous support of the Outdoor Biz podcast, and be sure to get your free hug next time we see each other. I'd love your support too. Please visit patreon.com/theoutdoorbizpodcast and sign up today. Thank you. Hey guys, so you may or may not know that podcasts are a lot like public radio. Public radio gets almost 80% of its funding from private supporters. In addition to sponsors and foundations, people like you give donations too. The vast majority of a podcast's expenses are devoted to producing and presenting episodes and the distribution of audio to RSS feeds and digital media services like Libsyn, SoundCloud, etc. The Outdoor Biz podcast is on Patreon to make it easy for you to offer your support. Patreon is a simple way for you to contribute to the podcast every month. There are even some simple rewards in return. Go to patreon.com/theoutdoorbiz and become a patron today. Thank you so much. If you want more of the Outdoor Biz podcast, you can subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. Be sure to go to the outdoorbizpodcast.com where you'll find all the links to the episodes, show notes, and much, much more. And be sure to make time to get outside and take someone with you.